Okay. 2013 Ford Fusion. This is a titanium. It's got the 2-liter EcoBoost. Basically, T30. You're gonna remove this panel first. There's a number of Torx head bolts here. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, something like that. Probably 12. Just however you want to do it, impact, ratchet, whatever. Remove these bolts. Yes, I have a lift. Makes it much easier, but you set this thing on a couple of ramps, you get the same result. Well, similar result. Okay. Alright. Okay. Keep track of all the hardware. Okay. So you got your oil filters right here. Yeah, it's hand tight. When you're putting these things back on, you don't want to crank on them. It just a couple, like maybe a quarter turn past snug or past hand tight is all you need. Drain plug is right here for oil pan. Real simple. This is 16's a little big. $15mm will do the job. Okay. Normally I have catch cans that'll do this, but they're both full. I wasn't prepared. Okay. Just let that drain. You can set your oil life reset to 100%. Now when you do 100%, that's 10,000 miles. I don't like changing my oil every 10,000 miles. I'm against it. I'm sure you can do it. I know there's oils out there that say you can go a year. I don't buy that shit. I don't do it. So I set mine to 50%. 50% obviously is 5,000 miles. So that's where I go from there. And every 5,000 miles you want to rotate your tires. I went with the stock ones, or at least the ones that I got when I bought the car. Yokohama Advanced Sport All Seasons. I freaking love them. They're great in the rain. They're great in the snow. I've had no problems. This thing is all-wheel drive, so I got that added bonus. I go left front to right rear, and right front to left rear. They're not directional tires, but they do, as far as inside to outside, there is an outside marking on the thing. So it is a directional tire as far as left to right is concerned, or whatever that's called, I'm not sure. The oil filter, I always go with a Motorcraft, only because it's a Ford. I do have a warranty, an extended warranty on the thing. It's good for 140,000 miles. So, whatever. I mean, I'm sure there's comparable oil filters out there, Fram, K&N, Royal Purple. They'll all do the same thing. The other ones might filter a little better, but they have the Motorcraft has that anti-drain down, drain back valving, which a couple of the other oil filters do too, but it also has what's called a threaded end bypass. So when, I guess, the engine's revving real high and the oil has to bypass the filter, it doesn't suck up the crap from inside the filter that it's filtering out and put it back into the oiling system. Does that ever happen, or does it rarely ever happen? Yes, it's very rare, but whatever. If it does happen, then you have that extra added security with that filter. Like I said, I just go with the Motorcraft. It's $5.99, $6, something like that at AutoZone. Probably same thing as Advanced or Napa. It's actually, for the Motorcraft, it's FL910S is the part number. So I can drain the filter into one of the cans because it doesn't take much. Alright. Doesn't hold much, rather. I need to drain these things. I do too many oil changes. And another thing I like to do, since it is a turbo car, well, any engine really, if you start it up with a dry oil filter, you're not going to have as much oil circulating through the system like you should at first startup. So I like to, when I'm capable of doing so, I fill up the oil filter as much as I can with new oil, put it up there. If you have a car where the oil filter is, not flat, or it's on an angle, then obviously you're not able to do that. But that's what I like to do. I like to fill it up before I start it, so I don't have a dry start with the turbo and the engine and everything else. Also, another thing you want to do is, this is a little hot still, make sure you check this and make sure the gasket is still on the old oil filter. I have done it once, and I learned from a mistake, where I didn't check to see if the oil filter, the gasket was still stuck to the engine, the adapter, and I put the new filter on with the new gasket, and I had a double gasket on there, and like a sieve, I think practically drained all the oil out from the time it took me to back out of my garage into the driveway. So just make sure you have that old oil ring on there, on the old oil filter. Clean up underneath here. It's a dirty rag, but whatever. So you don't have any drips in the driveway and you're wondering, oh, wonder if I tightened everything up properly. Just run the rag, clean everything up. Take your new filter. I go with full synthetic. Again, you probably don't, it's not necessary, but I do it anyway. New filter. New oil. Put it around the rim, around the gasket rather. Fill it up. A couple air bubbles will come up, and you're not going to get it completely full, but it'll be full enough to where it'll start pulling right from the oil filter immediately when you start the engine. a rag, clean it off, because there's definitely going to be oil on the outside of it. And then I just tightened it till it touched the adapter, and then you just go like a quarter turn, and that's it. That's all you need. You don't need to kill these things. They'll come off nice and easy next time you do an oil change. Make sure your frame plug is tight. Don't need to kill that either. Don't strip it out because it's only aluminum, and that's a steel drain plug, so it'll have no problem stripping out the threads. And basically, next thing I'm gonna do is a rotation. Check your air pressure. And check your brakes. Okay, so at this point you can turn the wheel, no problem. And you're looking for your brake pads. What's left on them? It's this part on the inside, right here. Got about I guess a good 1/4 inch on the outside. Make sure your inside is the same. Yeah, that's fine. It's wearing evenly, that's good. And considering I have right around 75,000 miles on this thing, and this is the original brake pads, I'm doing pretty good, considering I drive like a nut job. Same thing over here, about a 1/4 inch. Check your rotor. Make sure there's no deep grooves. Yeah, about the same. It's good. You want to check out your steering parts. Make sure your strut's good. Your ABS line. Nothing in the way of cutting that. This is your sway bar end link. Check that for brakes or looseness, whatever, what have you. Your brake line itself, your rubber line. Make sure there's no obvious cracks, breaks, dry rotting, whatever. Your steel line right here. Make sure there's no rust. CV boot, inner CV boot. You can turn it. Make sure there's no brakes. Usually when these things go, they'll squirt grease all over the place right here. Inner CV boot, or I'm sorry, outer. Same thing, you can turn the rotor with no tire on it, it's fairly easy. Just check for brakes, any kind of dry rots. Same thing as the brake lines. Any leaks from the transmission, nothing there, we're good. The boots from the steering rack, it's all good. Nothing going on back there, or up there rather. Same thing back here. This is your brake line. All the electrical stuff for the electric parking brake. These brake pads aren't bad either. They got a good amount of life on them as well. Probably a little less in the fronts, but the brakes don't do, the rear brakes don't do that much stopping. I mean, they do, but not as much as the fronts. Same thing with the rotor. Make sure there's no grooves, cuts, whatever. And like I said, this thing's all-wheel drive. Check your inner CV boot for brakes, cracks, whatever. I'm sorry, outer. This is the inner right here. We're good. No leaks from the differential. That's an old leak. It was repaired once. Your CV joints with the drive shaft. Little guy drive shaft. It even has a unit bearing in there. CV joints. Outer sway bar end link smaller than on the front. Make sure they're tight. And that should be it. You guys can put the tires back on yourself. I don't have to go through that. Hope this helped all of you. The hood latch is a little difficult to find, but it's right there. The little yellow thing. It's this yellow thing right here. It's on the driver's side. Just push it to the left after you pop the hood. And then you got your oil fill right there. Easy enough. 530, about 5.5 quarts. Alright, have fun.